The Food and Drug Administration is allowing the import of a chemotherapy drug from China to help ease the nationwide cancer drug shortage. Right now, this drug, cisplatin, is widely used to treat testicular, lung, cervical, and ovarian cancers. Doctors say cancer patients could die if the nationwide shortage is not resolved and they don't have access to treatment and drugs. More than a dozen cancer drugs are currently in short supply. For more on this, Dr. Richina Bicette-McCain is with us. She's an emergency medical physician. I'm curious about the regulatory process in approving drugs, whether it's from China or Canada or elsewhere. Does the same stringent rules apply here?
You know, Marni, what we do know is that the FDA is going to allow importation of drugs from facilities that are already registered with them, meaning that these facilities are subjected to FDA inspections and must meet certain standards. Then the drugs themselves are going to be inspected for quality and have to pass certain standards before they're distributed in the United States. I will say this is not the first time that something like this has happened. Over a decade ago, there was a shortage of a chemotherapy agent called Doxil, and the FDA behaved similarly at that time, allowing importation of drugs so that cancer patients could get their treatments.
What more do we know about what's causing this shortage?
Well, it seems as if what started the shortage was the shutdown of a facility that was based in India. With a lot of these chemotherapy agents, there's not a diversification in the supply chain, meaning that very, very few companies make the drug. These companies are already manufacturing the medication at maximum capabilities. So if one facility shuts down, the other facilities are not able to ramp up production in order to meet those needs.
So what needs to be done? I mean, this is a first resort in importing a certain drug from China, but are there not other options? What else might be looked at?
Well, the other options I think are going to take quite a bit of time. So this is the most immediate solution. What we really need to do is invest in our supply chain, invest in manufacturing capabilities, invest in diversification so that there aren't only a few companies that produce certain drugs.
Is there not a company in the U.S. that's making or manufacturing a drug like this? It was in India and now we're going to China?
Well, there are companies in the United States that make the drug, but the FDA can't force companies to manufacture drugs. We've seen over the last few years the prices of homes, gas, and food skyrocket, and that's affected the pharmaceutical industry as well. Companies are now reporting that manufacturing costs are exceeding sale prices, which are somewhat forcing them out of the market.
Is there a light at the end of this tunnel? Do you see this rectifying itself soon?
Well, the company that's based in India has gotten back online. So we're hoping that they will start to manufacture more of the drug and that importing the drug from China is only going to be a temporary solution for us.
I just think about patients, right, and the conversation that you and other physicians are having with your patients right now who are faced with a cancer diagnosis, and then we got to try to come up with some options because we're having a drug shortage. That's got to be a tough talk.
It's absolutely a tough talk. And for this particular medication, cisplatin, this is a mainstay of cancer treatment. The National Cancer Institute reports that up to 20% of cancer patients receive this medication. So it's extremely important to have on hand. And the shortage puts physicians in a very precarious situation. You have to decide, do I only give the drug to my patients who are the sickest, or do I give it to people who have the highest chance of survival? They may reduce the doses in order to help lengthen the supply, things that we don't want to have to do.
No, challenges no one wants to face. Real quickly, I want to get your thoughts. Maryland has reported its first measles case since 2019. It's a resident from Montgomery County, and that people in that area should be aware of possible symptoms. There have been 10 measles cases in the U.S. last year. What's your message on this?
Measles is eliminated in the United States, but it's not eliminated globally. So if you are not vaccinated and you come into contact with the virus, there's a 90% chance that you will contract it. Measles starts out like a normal upper respiratory infection: fever, cough, runny nose, sore throat, and then progresses to the characteristic rash of red spots that spreads from the head down. If you've been exposed to measles and you develop symptoms, please do not just walk into your doctor's office. It's highly contagious and you don't want to infect or put others at risk. Call your local health department.
An important warning. As always, Dr. Richina Bicette-McCain, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.